The Story of Ronald Rabbit. Read and enjoy. Let's read a story of a naughty rabbit who got into trouble for not listening to his mother. Once upon a time there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Gary, Parry, Fluffy, and Ronald. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big tree. "Now, my dears," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McDonald's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McDonald. Now run along, and don't get into mischief. I'm going out." Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella to the baker's shop. Gary, Parry, and Fluffy, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Ronald, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McDonald's garden and squeezed under the gate. First he ate some lettuces, then some French beans and radishes. Feeling rather sick, when Ronald searched for parsley, he saw the gardener, who started chasing him around. Mr. McDonald was running after Ronald. Ronald lost one of his shoes among cabbages and the other shoe amongst the potatoes. He couldn't remember how to get out of the garden. Next Ronald lost his jacket and dashes into the tool shed. Mr. McDonald heard him, so Ronald quickly jumped out of a nearby window. Ronald caught his breath and tried to calm down, and Mr. McDonald went back to gardening. Ronald saw a mouse that was busy carrying peas for her family. Ronald asked her the way to get to the gate, but she has such a large pea in her mouth that she couldn't speak. Feeling hopeless, Ronald began to sob. Ronald began to wander around the garden trying to find his way back to the gate when he saw a white cat sitting and looking over into a pond where a goldfish was swimming. The cat sat quietly, watching the fish. Ronald remembered what his cousin Betsy Bunny had said about cats and decided to walk away. Ronald heard the noise of a hoe and ran under some nearby bushes. Once he realized he was safe, he got onto a wheelbarrow and looked over to find Mr. McDonald working. Most importantly, right past him was the gate. Peter took a path behind bushes to get out, but Mr. McDonald spotted him. He continued to go under the gate and he finally got out of the garden. Ronald didn't stop running until he reached his house. When he did reach his house, he walked in and just lay on the floor exhausted. His mother noticed that he had misplaced his clothes and shoes. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea. She gave a dose of it to Ronald. That night, the 3 good little bunnies, Gary, Parry and Fluffy, received a nice meal of bread, milk and blackberries for supper.